Fred VanVleet was in town earlier today for the Raptors Academy camp, and we had a chance to catch up with him earlier. And he's no longer just Fred VanVleet, point guard for the Toronto Raptors. He's champion Fred VanVleet.
And he's also senior.
Fred VanVleet Sr., very important to point that out, because he's got a kid.
Junior was born
during the playoff run.
Second round?
Yeah, I believe it was against Philly. And I think he went back to Chicago.
And then Senior just lit it up.
He went on fire after that.
He did.
So we caught up with Fred VanVleet a little bit earlier this afternoon, and we asked him, what's life like now that you are an NBA champion?
A little bit more popularity. People think I'm a little bit cooler than I actually am. But, it's been good. It's been a shorter summer this year. I was able to get home, spend some time with the family, and just put my feet up for a while. And I'm starting to get back to work now, so I'm really looking forward to it.
Well, take us through that. When you go home, you go back to Illinois, and there were all those stories during the finals that they were setting up their own Jurassic Park in your hometown. Yeah. When you get home and everyone knows you, but now you're a champion and you've been on national TV and everyone knows who you are, how does life change in terms of your inner circle?
Not much. We keep it pretty tight-knit group. It was really cool to see the reception from the city. And, a lot of those people I know very closely. The city's only about 180,000 people, so it's a small community of where we grew up. And I know a ton of those people, family, friends, and that whole thing. So that was really, really cool to see that. Not only while I was playing, but to go home and for us to have our own type of little parade ceremony, that was a big deal. But, as far as family, my family and my close friends, nothing changes. Nothing changes at all.
Now, Fred, you've been through a little bit of this experience before, your freshman year at Wichita State. Great run to the Final Four. And just compare the likes of going home as a college freshman and now going home as an NBA veteran with the championship.
You're a little older, a little wiser, so you can handle things better. But honestly, I've been a big deal where I come from, for a long time, so I'm used to it. It just keeps growing each year, and it's just unbelievable to see the journey, from where I started to be here now. And I think that, once we won, just taking the time to reflect and appreciate the journey and appreciate the people that helped me along the way. But you guys know me. I mean, now, I'm already thinking about next year. So obviously the championship run was unbelievable, a lot of fun, a lot of work, very, very, very hard. One of the hardest things I've ever accomplished in my life. But, really looking forward to next year, too, now.
With Raptors guard Fred VanVleet, and we all know the news of the summer, Kawhi Leonard moving on and heading to L.A., and as a result, I mean, you guys, you're not getting a ton of love. You guys are back to being underdogs, and yet you're the champs. I mean, we're still a couple of months before we even play any games, but no one's going to give you guys any love. How motivating is that going to be for your group?
We don't need outside motivation. But at the end of the day, we're right back to where we're used to being. We were darlings for a little bit, and we're right back to where we are, where most of us have been for most of our careers. And so it's kind of refreshing a little bit. The media whirlwind of getting all the love and praise is nice when you win the championship, but outside of that, it doesn't mean anything. So we got some people to prove wrong this year, and ourselves to prove right. And, looking forward to our team and what we'll have going forward.
At any point during the season, did you believe Kawhi Leonard was going to re-sign here?
Yeah, of course. Of course. We had a great year. I think he had a lot of fun. We rolled out the red carpet for him and his family. And, there's nothing that we didn't do. Our medical staff was unbelievable, and as they are with all of us, but they did a really good job with him as well. And then to win a championship, I think that's hard to walk away from, but ultimately, whatever his mindset was going forward, he made the best decision that he thought was for him. And so, you respect that, shake his hand, and you move on.
How did you find out that he signed with the Clippers?
He texted everybody. He texted everybody right before it came public. So I think that he kind of knew the way he wanted to do it. And as soon as he was texting us, that's when it started to break. And so we read the message and then, saw it online. And that was the end of that. So I thought that was a nice gesture from him.
Fred, I come from the hockey world, and hockey players get the Stanley Cup for the day. Do you get the trophy for a day? And if so, what have you got in the plans?
Yeah, I took it home for my basketball camp. I have an annual basketball camp. That was weekend up to the 14th. So that was a lot of fun to have it there for a few days and to have the kids be able to see it and take pictures with it. And it's a huge deal for a place with no pro sports and not many professional athletes in the history of the city. So to be able to have a champion and come back and have an experience that.
With Fred VanVleet, you're kind of losing us. Can you hear us? Or
Yeah.
yeah, you're cutting out a little bit.
Okay, sorry.
We'll try to grind through here. But in terms of those camps, you mentioned that camp that you had back in your hometown, and you're at the Raptors Academy camp today. A lot of pros, it goes viral because they're dunking on kids. They're trying to cross kids up. Is that your mentality when you're going up against the kids? Are you trying to posterize them, especially if the cameras are on?
Yeah, I'm not dunking, but I'm trying to win every game. I'm trying to score on these guys, and if I'm out there playing, I'm probably going to be playing at a decent percentage of what I can do, and obviously not going to get hurt or anything. But I'm not taking it lightly on them by any stretch of the imagination. So you'd be surprised at how confident these kids are, and they come in and they want to show you what they can do, but you just got to shut that down real quick and let them know they got a long way to go.
That confidence is a beautiful thing in youth, and you've been an underdog. You were an underdog in going into college. You were an underdog coming into the pros, undrafted. You get that special exception, I should say, the early bird exception after your second year. How does that change for you now? And when you're watching these kids, do you see a kid in camp and say, "There's Fred VanVleet. There's the underdog"?
Yeah, I definitely see kids who have that chip on their shoulder, who have something to prove. I mean, anybody can see that if you know what you're looking for. Nothing changes for me in terms of my approach and what I want to do and the type of player that I want to be for our team. And so I keep, trying to get better each year. That's what I do every summer is work on every aspect of my game, try to come back a more complete player. And when I'm watching teams and I'm watching basketball, watching the kids, I'm looking for those guys and those girls even who have that chip on their shoulder, who kind of feel slighted and feel like they have a lot to prove because that's a powerful thing.
With Fred VanVleet, your journey even throughout the playoffs was, a bit of a roller coaster where you weren't getting a ton of minutes, you weren't putting up a ton of production in those first couple of series, and then all of a sudden it clicked for you, and you were putting up stats and percentages that were off the charts, and it got all the way to the point where Hubie Brown gave you his vote for the NBA Finals MVP. What was it, in that Milwaukee series towards the end of the Philly series that clicked for you? What clicked for you that allowed you to really blossom and kind of become an impact player?
I think it's a little bit of everything, a few more minutes, a few more shots. When I was playing limited minutes and getting limited shots, I just wasn't making them. I didn't play very well in that type of role. That's not anybody's fault. It's just the way that things were, and you take that on the chin. And what I didn't do was get down on myself or point fingers at my teammates or my coaches. I just kind of rode through it, understanding that there would be more basketball to play. And then, I think Kyle fouled out in one of the Philly games or one of the Milwaukee games. I think it was a Milwaukee game, game 3. And I played 35 minutes, hit a big 3 in the fourth quarter, and just propelled it ever since then. And then, just kept trying to build on that. And I think there was just a time to lock in, and I found the groove, and I just stuck with it.
Have you spoken to Hubie Brown about him giving you his vote
I have not. I can't wait to see him. I got a lot of love for Hubie.
Yeah.
Obviously, this is before that. We talk, and every time he does broadcasts, I try to just take 5 minutes of his time, talk about a legendary figure in our game, and a lot of love and respect for him. But, obviously, after the vote, now we got to be besties. Now I gotta go find them.
Absolutely.
And take them out and get them a drink.
Staying with the coaches, a big decision by Masai last year to fire Dwayne Casey, popular coach with you guys, and the guy that had given you a break, and go to Nick Nurse. And obviously last summer you're going through that coaching change, watching from a distance. What were your thoughts when all of that happened?
It wasn't shocking because you heard the rumblings and you could feel the tension in the building. But I love Case. I still have a lot of love for Case and what he did for me in my career. I love playing for him, and he was great for me in my career. And I don't think I would have the type of career that I've had if it wasn't for him giving me a chance. Not only, for the front office and him to choose me to be on a team, but for him to throw me minutes when nobody else really believed in me. So I'll always have love for him for that. But I'm not a guy that dwells on stuff. I wasn't going to be angry that they fired him. That's not my battle to fight. And obviously, I like Nurse as an assistant, and so just was really anxious to see what he brought to the table as a head coach. And it wasn't always easy. He was learning. He's still learning. He's new as a head coach, but all in all, I'd say it worked out.
Yeah, I would say it worked out pretty well. Well, enjoy the rest of the offseason. We look forward to having you guys back in town come September, and we really appreciate you doing this afternoon. Thank you, Fred.
No problem. Thank you.
There is Fred VanVleet, champion from Rockford, Illinois. He's a big shooter in Rockford, Illinois.
He's a big name in Illinois.
Have you been to Rockford, Illinois?
I have been many times to Rockford, Illinois.
Why have you been there many times?
It's the Blackhawks farm team, the American Hockey League.
That's right.
The Marlies was there with the Marlies.
Yeah.
We were scouting someone from Chicago at some point, too, so I went through to see their minor league guys. So they had one of the legendary American Hockey League presidents, Gordon Kay. And Gordon is now the head of U.S. ping pong. Table tennis, not ping pong.
Come on.
But Gordon, you would love Gordon. Gordon was an idea man. And he'd have all kinds of ideas. In his office was all of his ideas. For instance, his bobbleheads were toothbrush holders as well. So he'd have
two birds with one stone.
He'd have these bobbleheads that he'd created, but they were toothbrush holders.
So how much say would the president of the American Hockey League team even have?
Quite a bit. And it was owned by the Blackhawks, but it was real big for him in the city of Rockford. Like, he was all about making the city better, and he worked closely with the government and, the local mayor, and they were all about community events, and the way they did everything was all structured around. And that's the great thing about minor league sports in small towns like that. And it was funny when Fred said there's no pro sports in Rockford. And I was going to interrupt
American
and say,
Hockey
wait a
League
second.
team. Don't forget about that.
American Hockey League team.
Yeah.
So I have been to Rockford on several occasions.
Yeah.
And they did a great job with the building, of redoing the building. And, those things are really, really important in small towns. And those guys are heroes in small towns, not like Fred VanVleet.
VanVleet is at a different level of heroics, I would think, in Rockford, Illinois.
But he was a hero in high school. Like, he was the guy. And it was interesting with him because in a town like that, I think it's about an hour drive maybe from Chicago. All the AAU teams from Chicago would try and pull a VanVleet into
Chicago.
AAU. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And he didn't do that. He stayed with his AAU buddies. And there were people felt, because he was basically a mid-major college guy and went to Wichita State. But, in that community, that would be scorned upon. So the bigs in Chicago, the DePauls and those schools, that's why they said they didn't recruit him, is because he didn't show the dedication by playing for a Chicago-based
How
AAU
dare you
team.
not do that?
Exactly.
Well, LeBron had a similar story. Now, he was obviously much more of a superstar, and he was much more glorified, and people were aware of who he was. But he stayed at the same high school. Mm-hmm. He was at a Catholic high school in Akron, Illinois.
Notre Dame.
Well, it was
Notre Dame High School.
Was it? Mm-hmm. Okay, I thought it was like St. James, St. Vincent, or whatever
Notre
it was.
Dame High School.
But he didn't go to New Jersey to one of these prep schools, or Vegas, or Florida. He didn't follow in the footsteps.
The Carolinas, yeah.
Yeah, they've all, there's about a handful of states. There's one in Jersey. I think Kevin Garnett went there. Mm-hmm. I think Garnett's from Chicago.
He is.
There's one in Florida. There's one in Vegas now. And, I think R.J. Barrett went to one of them. I think Andrew Wiggins went to one of them. And LeBron, who would have been the most sought-after 15, 16, 17-year-old in the country.
He hung at home.
Just said, I'm going to hang out. I got my buddies here, and it's not going to change who I am and what I'm going to do. And it obviously didn't, because he was going first overall, and clearly that was the right pick.
But interesting.
And everything played out well for him.
Interesting what Fred said, that things haven't changed much for him. And I'll guarantee you, when he went home after his freshman year and they had that great Final Four run, upsetting both Gonzaga and Ohio State in that bracket, that he was as big a hero then as he is with an NBA championship.